This video will be episode 23 of the Black Lion Origins campaign. Last episode, our brother Nathan finally got married to Princess Coraine of the Battanian Kingdom. We're currently at day 170 in our campaign. My character is 24 years old and 28th level, and our clan tier is 3. Keep in mind that while we have played 2 years in this campaign, we spent about 3/4 of a year leveling blacksmithing skill for my character. that took a whole 3 seasons. Pretty intensive. So glad to finally have Coraine in the clan. I had attempted to get married to her myself, but she wouldn't have me in the end. We got a second date, but in the end, she decided she would rather marry someone else. And so we got married to Ladigal, and we are happily married. We had a kid, and one on the way. And and so when it became necessary that we actively facilitate a marriage for Nathan, my first thought was of Coraine. When I had proposed a marriage between us and was rejected, I then asked her father if how much it would cost to to get married to her anyway, and they wanted more than 100,000 gold. We didn't end up having to pay that for Nathan to marry her. We paid 77,000, which I was happy to do. Coraine is a fantastic warrior wife. She has great skills, and she comes with, more often than not, because the loadout of nobles is random from campaign to campaign. But you can check, like, if you've met her before, you can look them up in the encyclopedia and see what their equipment loadout is exactly, because they'll have a little portrait on their profile, and you can look and see what their armor and weapons they're using is. So yeah, I knew she had a noble bow and a long noble bow, and that would offset the gold losses that we would incur from paying her bride price. So we're still in the stages of and will be for a long while, I'm sure, of trying to kit up my clan members. You can see Ladigal just won that tournament against me, and she's wearing padded armor. She's basically wearing a winter jacket for armor, which is not ideal. We would like to change that for all of my clan members. And most certainly need to get them all noble longbow. It's very important, because that's how they start to get kills, and then they will level up and get better. It'll be perfect. So you'll notice at the beginning of this fight, I had to tell Sassel to dismount, because I changed my own loadout to where I didn't have I'm not mounted in my own loadout. The reason why I did this is because if you are mounted and running around on the world map, you'll get passively riding skill, and that's great, except I'm just about to reach 330 riding skill, and I would much rather be gaining athletic skill. So if you don't if you're not mounted in your character's loadout and you're running around on the world map, you'll passively gain athletic skill. And generally, I'm like, not terribly interested in getting athletic skill that way because then I've got to start my fight without a mount. What? I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, I could just tell Sassel to get off his mount and then use his mount instead in encounters that I wasn't willing to fight on foot, which is honestly most of them. I don't not terribly fond of fighting afoot, but it is a whole lot less painful with this nobleman avalanche, the legendary nobleman avalanche. But yeah, it's not every fight that you want to do it, like this fight right here. If I was on foot, my shield would be having to absorb a whole lot of those javelin shots, and it wouldn't stand up very long. This is actually a very low tier shield we picked up from one of our Flandian village raids. We gave our horse a kick as we dismounted it there because I didn't want it eating my crossbow bolts from across the field there and getting killed. That is a thing that can happen. That is a Vader hotblood, and I'm not interested in losing it, especially not to the archer fire of my own troops. So we had in mind to hunt caravans, Flandian caravans near Carvansith and Dunglanis there, but I didn't see any for a little bit, and I got bored with the prospect and decided to run down towards the Vlandian territory near Oxhall there and see what I could scare up, because there are a lot of Vlandian towns that will send their caravans up through that pass near Drumar Castle, but I didn't see any caravans, and so instead decided to see about growing my clan. I think we're running around at about 75 troops, and we have capacity for up to 109. Now that'll slow us down quite a bit to increase our clan size, especially without having the horses in our inventory to compensate. Well, for our infantry to use, but it's still a thing worth doing. I like the idea of having 100 troops in my warband. A lot of the Vlandian noble warbands will run around with about 100, and I think we'll be a much better match for them, and maybe we could shift our focus from hunting caravans to hunting those noble warbands. They're often less profitable than the caravans to take out, but you also have a better chance at better gear more often than not fighting the Vlandian noble warbands. I say more often than not because they're pretty war exhausted at the moment. And a lot of these noble warbands are consisting of recruits, and I'm not going to get any gear that I particularly want from killing recruit soldiers. But that's not to say that all of their troops will be recruits. What happens is when you defeat a noble enemy and release them, they will, after a short time, respawn in their fief, and with like 14 troops, I want to say. Generally speaking, they start out with a warband of 15, and they will travel to nearby villages and towns and recruit troops and swell their warband's ranks. But that takes a little bit of time, and if everybody's been doing that, then the soldiers in those villages haven't had time to level up. Those soldiers in villages will level up over time, but if a kingdom's been at war for a long time and has suffered losses, then those villages are more often than not pretty depleted of high level troops, and so it makes it difficult for those nobles to have anything but, the lowest rank of troops in their warband, which makes them not very profitable to attack. We're here at Valenby, I believe. It's either Valenby or it's a neighboring village. They're both this map, which I particularly like when when hunting Blandian villages. When I do attack Valenby, I generally will force them to give me goods rather than peasants, recruits. I'll force them to give me goods rather than recruits because they are a horse-producing village, and I can often get at least one riding horse from them, which is profitable. Yeah, it was Larnac, not Valenby, but they're both the same map. Now, we've got enough guys in our warband, enough troops, that it's beneficial to me to tell them to stand a little bit to the right. Otherwise, I've got a bunch of troops just standing in that ditch with no view of the fight whatsoever. That's it's worth noting, I think. You want your entire warband to be effective when possible. It's actually the perfect time to level my athletic skill is while I've got a big warband around me. If I do go down in a foot fight, then my warband's got my back, and we can take on large numbers of enemies, and my warband won't feel the loss of my kill potential too greatly because I've got quite a large warband. Went ahead and give my recruits the attack command so they can be charging down stragglers and hopefully gaining some level ups. See, we ranked up 5 of those recruits. And we're maxed out at 109 troops in our warband, so definitely would rather be getting caravans or nobles to fight now. Don't necessarily want to fight 200 and... Ooh! This is perfect. Got a noble warband of 82, and so we've got them outnumbered by 20. And he had no chance of outrunning us because he was stuck on that bridge. We're going to move faster than most noble warbands at this point anyway, because they're not terribly good at keeping in their inventory horses so that their infantry troops can move faster on the world map. So that gives us a huge advantage against most noble warbands. I say most because some noble warbands are heavily stacked with cavalry, and that will negate that effect.
Move!
You see that more with well-leveled Vlandian warbands and Khuzait warbands. Obviously, they're very cavalry-centric cultures.
Infantry, charge!
We give the charge command to our recruits initially here, so that they can run out ahead of my archers and stop the enemy infantry. But I'm going to order them to retreat immediately after, because I don't want them to get cut to pieces by these archers. I would rather my archers fight it out at range, because my archers are generally going to be far more leveled than my enemies here. Plus, it gives me the opportunity to get some kills. Crossbowmen took some ranged attack fire and got staggered out of the path of my my attack there. That's kind of hilarious and slightly frustrating. So they're my recruits. They never actually made it out of the map. You get some funny pathing sometimes when you tell your guys to retreat from the field. But I'm not mad about it. I think one of my recruits went down to archer fire, but yeah, he didn't die, and so it's not terrible. And we picked up 27 kills for ourselves in that engagement. Very nice. Ooh, Ingolfir. He is the Baron. I forget the clan that he's with, but he's the Baron of the clan that is currently holding Charis. Barons are particularly good to hunt and fight because they okay, so there are banners in the game that you can get and equip, and if you equip a banner, then it will give your troops under your captaincy a bonus. But one of those troops will have to hold that banner, and if that troop gets killed, then you lose that buff. But if another troop comes along and picks up that banner, then you'll regain that buff. But the reason I mention this is because there are different tier levels of those banners, and nobles will generally drop a banner or have a chance to drop a banner, but barons have a chance to drop a higher tier level of banner, and kings even more so. So it's worth looking. Oh, man, it's worth looking out for. We have these guys outnumbered almost 2 to 1. Not terribly worried that we aren't going to win it, though. This really weird square formation of my crossbowmen does throw some doubt on the prospect. We're gonna win, but we're certainly not going to win as cleanly as we would have. You definitely should be careful when facing enemy cavalry at in an oncoming charge situation. It's never the ideal move. I have a certain amount of hubris, and oh man, we lost a sharpshooter for my mistake. Then we could have won that easily without any losses. So we just stood there and passed time for a little bit because I knew that caravan wanted to get past me, but he couldn't. And I had a disorganized debuff, and if I had chased him too aggressively before like
Move!
the
Forward!
disorganized
Infantry!
buff had
Forward!
dissipated, we'd have chased him out of the forest without catching him. So, but once the disorganized buff dropped, we were able to easily catch this caravan in the woods. And if you've watched any number of these episodes of this series, especially lately, you'll know exactly why we caught them, even though we outnumber them 2-1.
Footmen! Make a shield wall!
So we're giving our footmen the shield wall order so that after having moved my troops back farther away from this ridge that was obscuring their view of the oncoming enemy, we gave the footmen a shield wall order so that when the enemy cavalry charges through the ranks of my archers, they will then possibly get hung up on my recruits who are in shield wall formation behind them. I say possibly because it's not as though there are a ton of recruits, and those recruits don't even have shields to be blocking with, but some of them will indubitably have pitchforks, which they can absolutely block oncoming cavalry, or have the potential to block oncoming cavalry with. So we'll be hoping to continue to catch these Blandian caravans, and hopefully we'll catch some high-ranking Blandian lords. We always release them after the battles, but even so, we like having those fights. Anyway, this has been episode 23 of the Black Lion Origins campaign, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.